Hey everyone, on this episode of iTalk Movies, we're getting up close and personal with actress Lili Bordan. Let's do it.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's iTalk Movies.
Hey everybody, Wang Chung brings us into this episode of iTalk Movies. This is the show where we get up close and personal with the people both in front and behind the camera that bring you all that great entertainment you get to see in the movie theater, at home, or on your mobile streaming device. I'm your host, Frank Moran, and my guest today is an actress who was born in New York, was raised by Hungarian parents. She has performed in productions in both countries. You've seen her in Battlestar Galactica, Blood and Chrome, HBO's Westworld, Fox's The River, Ridley Scott's The Martian, and much more. Her current film is Live or Die in La Honda, currently out on video demand and iTunes. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lili Bordan.
Hi, guys.
Oh, look at that.
Hi, Frank. Look, I'm here. I appeared.
You made it.
I made it.
Look at that. How easy is that? Yes. So I'm really curious. So growing up, you would speak English outside of the home, but you'd speak Hungarian inside.
Yeah, we weren't really allowed to speak English at home.
Yeah. Very interesting. So you'd come home from school or whatever you were doing, playing with friends, and it was just as soon as you walked through the door, your parents would only speak to you in Hungarian?
Yeah, my dad tried to teach us French, which we kind of did. And then my mom would just only speak Hungarian. She's like, you get the English at school. And then my brother and I would cheat and try to speak English amongst ourselves and thought we were really cool.
Now, were they just so strict that in the home, or is basically anytime you were with them, no matter where you were?
My mom was really homesick for Hungary. She was actually, she still is very famous in Hungary. She's just had her theater premiere last night, actually, and she's on stage a couple times a week and filming all the time. Her name is Irene Bordan, Irene, and she was just homesick, and so I think it was more to make her feel more comfortable. We spoke Hungarian at home.
Now, did they come over from Hungary to perform here? Is that what brought them?
No. My mom just wanted to have a family, and she fell in love with my dad, who had already settled in New York and opened a French restaurant with his brother, Le Refuge. And so he brought her to the States.
Wow. Now, being the life of a restaurateur, that is a lot of hard work and a lot of hours.
Very, yeah.
Was your dad often constantly at work? And was it mostly just you and your mom?
Oh, he's a workaholic, so he was always at work. Yeah.
What's your love for French food like?
I love French food, of course. French food mixed with any fusion of French food with anything is amazing. And then, I love escargot and frog leg and everything. I just love it.
So, of course, growing up with a mother that is famous in Hungary, famous for acting and performing, pretty much in your blood. When was the first time did you realize, like, you know what, I think I'd like to follow in these footsteps?
Well, I was always singing, and my mom told me a story. My grandmother actually, we were at a family wedding and everybody disappeared. I was always dancing and singing and had to be the center of attention. And then one day they came back, and we were at a wedding, and I was drunk. I drank everybody's leftover champagne, and I was just like singing and dancing even more. So I think I was a performer from an early age, and then I just did a lot of school plays. I played Anne. I was always the lead, Annie and Annie, Wendy and Peter Pan.
You make it seem like, such a burden.
No, it was awesome. And I actually, my mom, I just got married in September, and my mom, as one of my gifts, took all of our old VHS tapes and turned them and digitized them. So I have hours and hours of footage of theater plays that I did as a kid, and I was just I was like, whoa, that's really, like, I should have been a kid actor. I should have been a child star. I was awesome.
When was the last time before your mother had given you that gift that you'd gone back and watched any of that stuff?
Never.
So what was it like going back and studying through it?
I remember doing the plays, like being Annie, and being really pissed for years that nobody would show me the tape. And then my mom, like, I'm not going to say how many years later, but was like, oh, by the way, here you are at 10 years old being Annie and Wendy, and I was like, oh my gosh, look, that's amazing. That was real confirmation for me that I'm, that I have a real connection to this art form or craft or whatever you want to call it.
Going back and watching old videos of yourself, especially from so young, was it entertaining or was it also kind of cringing? Like, oh, I can't believe I did this.
I remember one thing in particular when I was Wendy. My dad had given me one instruction, and that was to put my hand on my chest. And so there was one thing I didn't like about my performance, which was I was going like this a lot. Oh, but Peter, you know. But other than that, I thought I was pretty natural. So thanks, Dad.
Now, when you went to college, you studied theater, but you also studied a few other things too, philosophy, literature.
Oh, yeah.
What was it about that made you want to kind of diversify what you were studying when you got to
My
university?
mom was very pro me becoming an actor. She said, you shouldn't even go to college, just go to Hollywood right away. And my dad didn't want me to be an actor at all. So there were these kind of, and they were divorced, so there were these kind of, forces within me trying to, I guess we always want to appease our parents, so I was just trying to find my own way. And I'm so glad that I did study philosophy and literature and economics and everything, like international relations, because I feel like it gives me more of a perspective. Like I can understand the character from something other than learning lines and and just being talented or creative or whatever, and I'm able to. Like I grew up watching the news and reading The Economist and everything, and I feel like I have an opinion.
Which is true. I mean,
so call education, no matter what, it gives you another layer of understanding of the text of what you get as an actor.
True. As an actor, you have to playing a character. You have to have an opinion about the world, so that makes it easier to
I
kind
think
of dial
so.
in.
Yeah. The character always has an opinion, and then you can kind of see, is that my opinion? Do I share that opinion? What do I share with the character? How am I different from the character?
Now, your brother, did he follow in the performing footsteps as well?
Not at all. No. He thinks we're insane.
That's
He's right there with my dad. No.
really. Is he in a restaurant business?
I think he will end up in opening a restaurant someday. I think that's always been his dream. But he's an accountant currently in New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he does accounting for a construction company.
Now, is your dad still in the States as well?
They all moved back to Hungary except my brother's in New York with his girlfriend Maggie. But my dad and my mom separately, of course, moved back to Hungary. My dad remarried. I have another brother, so I have two brothers.
Oh, nice. Got him expanding the family as well.
Yeah.
So you graduate, and then you also decide to go back to Hungary for a while?
I did. I got a movie that brought me to Hungary, and then it was a lead role. I played a blind girl. And so when I went there, I kind of I felt really connected to the place, and I also wanted to explore my roots. So I stayed for 4 years. I did a lot of theater there. I did some theater. I did the Fringe festivals in Prague a couple of times. So I was just doing theater, and then whatever films came to Budapest, I would work on. Like kind of like local hire work, But I had a steady flow of work, and I thought, this is great. So that's how I got into acting. Was what decided it was the paycheck. I was like, I'm making money, so I might as well be doing this. And then after 4 years, I was like, I'm enjoying this, but I want bigger roles now. And so I came here. I joined the union, and but I had done Law and Order in New York before when I was 18, and then before I went back to Budapest. So I wasn't completely foreign. It wasn't a foreign thing, but I was like, I want to maybe see if I could take this to the next level. So I moved here. Been here for a decade.
Wow.
Almost a decade.
Now, while you were during your 4 years in Budapest, did you ever perform with your mom?
Yes, I did. I performed in The Mandrake, a play that Machiavelli wrote. Niccolo Machiavelli wrote plays, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, he wrote The Prince. That's what he's famous for. But he wrote this play called The Mandrake, which is a comedy of all things, because the Mandrake is, it's hilarious, and The Prince is obviously what, the brutal book about economics and just what capitalism is kind of based on. So The Mandrake, yeah, and she played my mom in it, and then we did a couple movies together. Didn't really play mother and daughter in a lot of them, but we're somehow ended up in the same cast in the same films.
What was it like to growing up knowing that your mom did this for a living? You followed in the footsteps, and then you finally get a chance to perform together. What's it like?
It's amazing. It's really, really special, because we, for most of our lives, we didn't connect in that way. So when we finally did connect in that way, and kind of it was like a first meeting, first of many. You know, you meet someone on stage, it's a different kind of meeting than when you meet them. You know, they're making your breakfast for you or telling you to hurry up because we're running late, or, you know, it's a different kind of connection. So it's like you standing on stage with someone, you're like, who are you?
Yeah, well, that's true. It's like oh, you're just mom,
Yeah.
and then to actually see her in her element where she excels, like, whoa, this is
Yeah.
That's not the person that's waking me up in the morning saying I'm late for school.
Yeah, but she had a hiatus. You know, she wasn't working for like 20 years, and then when she moved back to Hungary, it took another 10 years for. She's not much of a go-getter. Like, she kind of lets things come to her as far as the career goes, and it took everybody 10 years to realize that she's here in Hungary again after being a super mega star in the 70s. And so it was interesting because, in a way, even though she'd had this amazing career before I was even born, we were starting over together again. But I was here and she was there. It was around the time that I left 10 years ago that she started working again heavily in Hungary.
So, as certainly you growing up with her as your mother, started instilling values. You're learning from her just as a parent. But
Yeah.
when you had the chance to perform with her, what did you learn from her as an actress?
I don't know. I don't know if I have an answer to that. There's not one technique or something. We took acting classes in New York together for a little while with Susan Batson and Sandra Seacat. And so we were really into this sort of method acting together. You know, it was really funny. And then we were like, okay, maybe we should just stop doing that heavy stuff and just start enjoying this. And so we were like, okay, we know how to do that. We know how to go to those places. Let's just have fun. So whenever I'm going to an important audition or going filming, she texts me, just enjoy. And I do the same for her.
So the audition process, is it something that you kind of enjoy the experience in and of itself? Or do you like, auditioning is never my favorite part of the process?
I love auditioning.
What do you enjoy most about that experience?
Choosing the outfit, breaking down the sides, not necessarily in that order, but trying to understand the essence of the character more than, that's basically the main thing, is understanding what drives the character, and then learning the lines is fun. I have a couple techniques for that I've learned over the years. I wish I'd known them when I moved here. It was brutal with all the lines you have to learn just for auditions. And then, like, learning things like, if you have 2 auditions in a day, which has been happening more and more recently, sometimes even 3, how do you put one aside and focus on one and not let all these characters drive you, compete with each other and for your attention?
So when you moved back, did you move back directly from Hungary right here to Los Angeles, or did you stop in New York first?
I made a stop in New York. I was there for a few years.
So what was...
a few weeks.
All right, I'm keeping track of all of this.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm making... all right, making sure this timeline is accurate.
Years.
Yes. When you move out here, did you have a kind of a support system in place, or did you pretty much just come out by yourself?
No, I had some money that I'd borrowed from my uncle. I promise I will pay you back, Uncle Pierre. And I bought a car, bought the wrong car, had to go back, paid way too much, got bamboozled, and I went through a lot of crap, and I didn't know anybody, didn't have any friends, and that was the first maybe 2 years. I started to have friends, and my roommate Sarah became my best friend here. She's since moved to Austin. She's coming back for her baby shower. But anyway, I just totally sidetracked myself.
No, you're making the woman that's having a baby. You're making her come all the way back to Los Angeles.
No, she wants to come back. She doesn't know anybody out there, so she's like, "How am I going to do a baby shower? I don't know anybody in Austin yet. I just moved there." So she's coming back. I'm going to help her with her baby shower.
Oh, very nice. So as you're out here auditioning, are you able to focus just being an actress full time when you're here, or do you also have to start doing other jobs?
Right now, I'm able to just focus on acting.
Oh, when you first moved out here, was that the case?
When I first moved, no, I was at one point waiting tables at 2 different restaurants and doing really weird jobs. I was a bubbleologist for a while. Ooh. I made bubbles at kids' parties.
A bubbleologist.
So I knew all about bubbles and how to make the best soapy water to make the biggest bubbles, and putting kids in the bubbles with a hula hoop. And
How much training
carrying
is
gallons and gallons of water, like 3-gallon buckets. Maybe it was like 4 gallons, like, and selling weird stuff, like doing these promotional sales in stores, and whatever I could get to pay the rent.
When
at
you're
first
learning to become a bubbleologist, is there an in-depth course that you need to follow to learn all the ins and outs of doing this?
There was a script, and I was shown how to do it. So it wasn't that difficult, actually. It's pretty, yeah.
I can't imagine anytime you're hanging around kids, though. That's got to be a perfect skill to be able to draw back on to keep their attention.
The bubbles are so dazzling and fascinating that it was just, I could have just not talked and just made bubbles. Oh my gosh, I'm in the bubble.
It's got to be a nice point, though, in your life that when you get to that place where you can just say, I'm comfortable enough and I'm making a living doing what I love, that I can let all these other side jobs that I'm doing just to make ends meet kind of
Yeah, it's
away.
hard to make that, decision, and I'll still have my, old companies call me and say, and if I have time, I'll go, just because I always want to be doing something. But like last week was a week where I was going to go even to a few events and stuff, and I couldn't because I had to really focus on, I have 7 or 8 projects coming out, but right now I'm focused on getting the next thing, what's my next project? And I feel like it's going to be a really good one because I've been auditioning a lot. So I'm like, okay, I'm preparing for something big. So fingers crossed.
I do like that your company, your old company could call you and say, Lily, we desperately need your bubble skills.
I don't do the bubbles anymore.
Nope, that's it.
No.
So that is one call you would not say,
That is
nah,
one, no. I loved it while I was doing it. I wouldn't go back there.
Thank you for the offer. I'm busy.
Yeah.
So when you're going in for the audition, and you basically you've prepared, you've executed what you wanted to accomplish in the room, are you able just to kind of walk away and leave it, or does the whole just like I really want this part and is kind of eat away?
It's
at you?
easier now that I'm having more auditions to let go. When I had 1 audition a week, maybe it was really hard. Yeah, it was really hard. But now I don't even remember what I auditioned for last week.
What a nice feeling that must be.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, where am I? What am I? Which one? Okay. I love that feeling.
That's true.
That's only recent. That only started happening a few months ago.
So then it's just getting basically when those calls come to offer you those roles, it's like, oh yeah, okay.
Which one was
sure.
that again? No, I wish. I hope.
So we were mentioning one production earlier, Battlestar Galactica: Blood and Chrome.
Yeah.
So it started off as just kind of a web series that kind of blew up and became a TV movie there for sci-fi.
Yeah.
The Battlestar Galactica brand, I mean, a huge success
Yeah.
for the Sci-Fi Network, and just really caught on. A huge fandom for that show. What was it like for you to get cast in that and just see the whole experience come from being one thing to kind of transitioning to a whole other medium?
Yeah, it was amazing, and we actually started doing that as a pilot, as a TV pilot, and then and then it turned into a web series, and then a movie. So it was a different course than anything else, I'd experienced. But it was amazing, and we shot in Vancouver, and Luke Pasqualino, Ben Cotton were my co-stars, and we had a great time.
It's certainly, I'm sure there's fan bases for many different properties, whether it be science fiction or drama, romance, comedy. But it certainly does seem with science fiction, and especially with Battlestar Galactica, I mean, the series wrapped, and all the spin-offs have wrapped up several years ago,
Yeah.
but the fandom is still there, and they're still really passionate.
Yeah.
What's it like, though, when you encounter those fans that are just so passionate about the franchise in itself and your role in it?
Well, I'm actually caught by surprise by it when people, recognize me or were like, you were that girl in the Blood and Chrome. I was like, yeah. It wasn't, a long-standing, it wasn't like, Jamie Bamber or Tricia Helfer that were on it for, 5 seasons. It was a little bit different than that, but it's still really amazing to be part of that world, to be part of that lore, and, to understand it. And I always watched that show before I even, moved back to LA, and said that would be an amazing show to be on.
Well, speaking of watching TV shows, growing up, what were the things that you, especially if you were living with parents that were kind of focusing you to speak Hungarian at home,
Yeah.
Would that also just relate to what you'd watch growing up at home?
Yeah, we weren't really, it's starting to sound like my parents are super strict, but we weren't really allowed to watch too much TV. We were really told to play outside and to read and to do our homework and stuff. We did watch some, I watched the regular things that were on TV. I watched, a little bit of TV when I came home. I watched a lot of Matlock. I watched a lot of Little House on the Prairie.
A lot of Matlock.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And then when I was older, I could watch a little bit of the Special Victim Law and Order series, and then I got on that. That was fun. Yeah.
So for you growing up, who were some of the kind of the people that you look to as role models in terms of acting? Like, I love this person's work.
Yeah, it's funny, Sally Field was the first one. I watched a movie with my mom called Not Without My Daughter, and that sparked something in me. And then there was later on when I was kind of conflicted about what I should do with my life, the acting thing. I watched Breaking the Waves. Directed by Lars von Trier, and then Emily Watson was who I was like, her performance is amazing, and so that's really what made me think, there's something to this, there's something deeper to this than just saying lines, and
Well, you were mentioning your struggle. Was the struggle just merely deciding how do you kind of navigate it with both your parents kind of having opposing viewpoints?
My parents, even though they had their opinion about what I should be focusing on, they always let me make my own decisions. So that's why the struggle was really inside of me. It wasn't pleasing one parent or not pleasing the other. It was on a very surface level. It was more deeply about, well, what can I do? And I'm still not completely, like, I love the acting, but there's so many other ways to be creative in film. I just wrote my second short, and I'm producing my second short film. It's called Amble, and it's going to be directed by an amazing visual artist and director called Kinga Kulchar. And Jeff Hammer, who directed Live or Die in La Honda, is going to be helping us produce it as well. So I'm learning. I'm kind of dipping my feet into that realm as well. That aspect of film, just learning how to work with people in that way, not just the creative way, but also, making decisions about budget and, script decisions and stuff like that.
Well, I know Jeff has spoken about his process for Live or Die in La Honda,
Yeah.
just in terms of trying to make it through the traditional Hollywood path, and then realizing, why am I waiting for opportunities to come to me? I can start making opportunities my own.
Yeah.
And I know you've spoken about that same process too, that, make your own content.
Yeah.
So was that kind of the similar kind of connection between you and Jeff in terms of...
I guess so. I guess we have a similar kind of opinion about that, or just modus operandi about that, just make it happen. And we work really well together, and that proved to be the case in Live or Die in La Honda. And then we actually worked on a feature together called Curtiz. I don't know if you know about that film, but that's...
with the director of Casablanca.
Yeah, Michael Curtiz. It's a biopic. I was approached to be an actress in that film. I auditioned for the role of Irene Lee, who is the Warner Brothers story editor, under Hal B. Wallace, who is the producer, who is Michael Curtiz's main partner in producing movies. And so that was very exciting in itself. And then I realized that this movie, it's coming out of Hungary. It's funded in Hungary. It's being prepared for Hungarian television. But I had a feeling that the message of this, the subject of this, is so much more, has so much more appeal than just in Hungary. So I started to assemble an American team around Curtiz, and I brought in Orion Williams, whose film opened Cannes in, I think, 2008 or 2007 with Control, one of my favorite movies. So I think he's pretty close to, I think they're working on the distribution, which is awesome. And then I brought on other producers, Gigi Toquigny, Jennifer Toquigny, who brought Ward Perry, who helped with the dialogue to make the dialogue more more American of that time, of that era. So the script, everything was in place. I was just like, had this feeling that this could be even bigger. So I'm really excited about that project and what can happen with it. And it's coming out in the spring, I think, in Budapest, in Hungary, and then or hopefully around the festivals, around before that.
So deciding to take more of a producer role in projects, kind of getting more behind the scenes for this. Are you able to look at the projects? Does it require two brains when you're looking at that? One, you're looking at more as a producer. The other one, you're looking at as a performer.
Yes, and I'm learning how to navigate that and how to communicate. How to communicate as an actor is very different than how to communicate as a co-producer, associate producer, whatever. So taking care of myself as an artist, remembering to, remind people I'm also an artist in this, and then also, but also having, it's just a different hat, it's like producer, actor, and I'm gonna have to do it for Amble, for my short film. So I'm very excited about that one.
So, because I guess you're taking classes when you're studying to be an actor. You're a variety of classes. You're watching other performances, kind of gaining influences from them.
Yeah, always.
When you want to make the switch and start doing stuff more behind the scenes as a producer, who do you look for in terms of kind of mentorship?
I have a few mentors, and they're mostly people that I've worked with. Jeff is definitely one of them. I'm learning a lot on how to produce from Jeff. He's an amazing producer, wonderful director and writer as well, and teacher, but a wonderful mentor. I guess I have mentors as an actor, and I have mentors as in the production world. One of them is Jenna Vasquez. We did a film together called Joan of Arc. Hold on, let me on my cheat sheet here. Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. Regarding the case of Joan of Arc. Okay, can you cut that out?
Yeah,
no.
yep.
I'm just kidding. No, it's okay. So I worked on that film. It's with Nicola Liberté plays Joan of Arc, and it's set in modern times. And we made friends on that set, and she's become a mentor as well. And then Orion is a mentor, Orion Williams. Everyone I work with who's got more experience than me, I mean, let's face it, is a mentor, as long as they want to be.
Do you find more people are willing or open to being a mentor to somebody else? Or is it sometimes tough to get somebody to give you help?
I don't know. I'm also learning about that now. You can't demand mentorship of someone. It has to be something that happens organically.
You can't just
any friendship or relationship. It has to happen. It has to be both sides. You
just can't strong arm. You just grab by the collar. You're gonna mentor me, whether you like it or
work.
not. No,
doesn't work.
Now I've learned where I've gone wrong.
I mean, you can be, I guess, persistent, and you can be helpful, and then see where it goes. But what I am learning also is to trust, and to trust that it'll work out for everybody's benefit, and just to follow your passion, to keep doing what you're passionate about. And I've had mentors say that, I see your passion for projects when I see a good script, and I read a lot of scripts as an actor, you do, hopefully, and I see something that I feel like has something in it that could, and I've come across a few recently. I'm also starting to approach it in a more professional, acting is so about the moment and about the passion of the moment and understanding the script and understanding the story. But with producing, cooler heads prevail, and even though I put the same amount of passion into producing and approaching people and wanting, it's all about sharing, right? So it's like, I have this, it fits your repertoire. Do you want to work on this? Do you want to work with me on this? Can we all be a team on this? That's kind of where I'm at right now. So I guess I'm just building my team,
Has going through this process given you a better understanding of how that impacts the acting side? Because especially when it comes to auditions, you could do your best in there, but there are so many other pieces that are in play for determining how a film is even made, let alone who's going to be cast in it.
Yeah.
So now being more on that side of it, has it given you a better understanding of everything?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's also made me. Ran into an actress at an audition the other day who, we both walked out and looked at each other and started laughing because we were like, there were 30 girls in there, and then who knows how many others going out for the same role. We're really playing the odds here, and we're both too smart to just rely on playing those odds. When you're 20, you have to have that sort of confidence and idealism. And I'm more confident now in my craft and my skills than ever, but I'm seeing the statistics of it and everything, and I'm seeing that more and more you have to take control of your career in that sort of a way.
One quote before we start talking about Live or Die in La Honda is I saw on your website, my empathy is boundless, but I've learned to build walls.
Did I say walls?
Or walls or barriers?
Boundaries.
Yeah, boundaries. There you go.
Yeah. I don't believe in walls, but I do believe them. And boundaries are amorphous too. But but it is sort of that boundaries of, okay, I'm giving. When does the receiving start, sort of thing? And also if someone, I think to a certain, what I'm learning in business is that people will take what, I'm not like this, I'm a giver. So I will just give to the end of it and then realize I'm depleted. And so when that's happened, it's hurt me, and then trying to patch those boundaries is very difficult once you. So I'm just learning to, and that's something I wrote a long time ago. So I guess maybe that's one of those life lessons, that I'm always going to be making that mistake to some degree. But I don't know how to live other than with passion for what I do, passion for a project, passion for a script, and something that's genius. I'm always looking for something that has that little hint of genius.
Well, I would imagine so, because if you wanted to sign on to a project, that is going to be a large amount of your life in the immediate future taken up for that. So I don't feel like if it's something you're not really believing or you're passionate about, I think it's hard to really want to invest that time.
More and more, I'm looking for, like with Jeff's script, it was as I think I saw in an interview with him. We never talked about this, but he wrote a script. He knew he had a certain budget cap, and that the only way he was going to attract talent is to make the roles interesting for actors. So his goal really was to find actors who he can still afford, but that can give him the quality of work that someone can who's very famous, or like.
Well, we've talked a lot about Jeff and his film and your film, Live or Die in La Honda. Why don't we play a little bit of the trailer for everybody? Yeah. Get them sucked in.
Mm-hmm. How's it going?
What do you want, Vic?
I need your help.
I could have sworn I heard gunshots coming from your place last night.
I thought we agreed it would be better if we didn't see each other.
Brian went missing a few days ago. You must think I'm a really horrible person.
I don't think you're a horrible person, Vic. It's just you and I, when we get together, it's like we're like live wires.
Yeah, but you must admit the sparks are pretty exciting. Come to La Honda.
yourself? What are you not telling me?
There's a lot of things I'm not telling you.
Ooh, so yes.
First dead man ever buy me a beer. Who sent you?
There you go. Live or Die in La Honda. Yes. So the gist of the film is that Blake Baker, he comes to the aid of an old flame, played by yourself, Vic
Yeah.
Taylor.
Yeah.
And now he's got it's up to him to decide how much of himself he's willing to risk to help somebody.
To help an old friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blake Shields Abramovitz, the role was written for him. He was wonderful to work with. He's just amazing. And so he and Jeff were looking for the female lead of this together. I auditioned with him in the room. And yeah, it was wonderful. And yeah, so it's the lead opposite of Blake, and it's like a Romeo and Juliet love story set in the redwoods of La Honda. And as you said, I'm a former Marine. He's a former Marine, and he comes back and to help me out with something.
Yes.
Right. So, but I have a bit of my character has a bit of an agenda, which you find out in the movie.
It definitely goes through different. You learn more and more about Vic as the movie goes along. That she's not being completely forthcoming in everything that she's got going on.
She's sort of leaking information at her own pace, whatever suits her. She's a very selfish, self-driven character. So that's something that her and I don't, I guess, have in common, but I do understand the psychology of that, and how that type of person clicks. And we were talking with Jeff about this character and how what drives her, and then also with Blake on our drive up. We drove up from Los Angeles to San Francisco together because we didn't have a lot of time to work on the characters beforehand. We had some rehearsals, but really that drive was really important because we figured out a lot of things that were already in the script, but they were just underneath the surface, which is really our job, to find out what's underneath, what's not on the surface, but what's driving everything forward. So we realized that these two characters are actually suffering from PTSD. They're dealing with it in different ways. So Blake's character, he goes into the whole Los Angeles meditation scene and just tries to heal himself through and his PTSD through that. And then my character, Vic Taylor, she's not dealing with it. So, but she's in this town all of a sudden, they were in Afghanistan together. No, and they were in Iraq together. And they come back, and she's in this town of 500 people, and she loses her brother, and so calls him and says, "Help me find my brother." And so there's a lot of history there, and that history really drives the whole movie. So we had to build that history, and a lot of that happened on the drive up.
Well, there's nothing like to help two people bond than a long car trip.
Like 6 hours, yeah. Yeah.
Because Blake in the film describes that the relationship with Vic is kind of like an addiction, and he knows that it's bad for him, but he knows the longer that he stays around, the harder it's going to be able to kind of keep his distance.
Yeah.
For this, Jeff was talking about he wanted to kind of show that he could shoot a high quality film, but with a really lean budget. Mm-hmm. So for this, what was it like working on a production when you have Jeff kind of shooting it and producing it from that kind of point of view?
It was really fun. The crew was very young, and a lot of them were on their first set. And Jeff was, he was producing as well as directing. And so it was amazing to watch him work and handle that. He has a great stamina as a producer and director, and he never lost his patience with anyone. And, it was just wonderful. And then I had a really lovely Airbnb in the mountains. So to wake up to that beauty and the tall trees and spending time walking through the forest to get to work, I would walk to set every day, was really amazing. I love being on location in general.
Certainly with Battlestar Galactica Blood and Chrome, kind of a bigger production, but even Ridley Scott's The Martian, a nice big mainstream production as well. There's certainly, with bigger budgets come, a bigger scale that you can shoot on, but also I would imagine that there comes a lot of logistical nightmares as well, dealing with bigger productions. What's it like when you kind of pare that all away, is Jeff's philosophy kind of like if you pare all that down and you kind of keep it really lean and mean, is it a viable thing that you can still shoot just a really quality film?
You know what's interesting is the vibe on Jeff's set felt kind of similar to the one on Ridley Scott's, in a weird way. So I guess he's right in the sense that if you can create an atmosphere on set where people feel comfortable and people know exactly what their job is in that moment, and there's just pure love for the craft. That's what I felt on both of those sets. Ridley Scott never works more than 8 hours a day. So we had very short days. At least that's what I heard. That's what we did.
Yeah.
So we were, was it 8 or 10? I think it was 8. But we were wrapped. I did 3 days on that. And because we worked really slow and we took our time with everything. And there was a really nice flow, and his team was just working really well. And then it was fun. A lot of sets are, I've been on great sets most of my life, but to have a set where everybody's really, really happy to be there is just magical. It's just magic, it just operates on a completely different level.
True, because certainly you hear a lot of the stereotypical Hollywood nightmare stories where on a production, for the be a TV show or film, but that it's run by somebody that's going to try to motivate people.
Come closer to you.
Yes, come closer. I've got a secret.
I realized
to
I
tell
was
you.
really far away from them. I'm pushing back away from the microphone. I'm getting self-conscious. No, I'm not.
Oh no! But they will operate from a place of just anger or venting their frustrations out on the cast and crew, and that.
Yeah, you hear about that more and more now that's been happening, and I experienced that with a play once, and then kind of on a set, but never anything I didn't feel like I could control.
I just feel like it's harder. I feel like you're going to get the best out of people if they're excited to be there, and if they're operating out of fear, I don't know if you're ever going to get. They're just going to do what they need to do.
One thing I learned on Jenna's set, Jenna Vasquez, regarding the case of Joan of Arc, was that everybody was getting back-end points, and so everybody was on their best behavior, and not a lot of people were getting paid, or paid what they would normally, but because we had that ownership, there was just this sense of camaraderie, and we're all producing this together. We're all producing this product together.
Now
so I learned that, and that is definitely something that I want to incorporate as a producer moving forward, regardless of the budget.
Yeah, to kind of create that set that everybody's excited to be there.
Yeah.
There is I just want to talk about one scene there for Live or Die in La Honda. Mm-hmm. There is, comes kind of partway through the film where some people are coming to maybe take out Vic and Blake, middle of the night of sorts. You get a chance to do an action scene, but you're pretty much just, just underwear, a little half top.
Yeah.
What's it like kind of having your kind of an action sequence, but you're just all right, I'm not really kind of decked out. I'm just kind of wearing some evening wear.
So Jeff's wife, Nicole Gonzalez Coley, we call her. She was the production designer, costume designer. It was a real family operation, and that particular scene, she showed me a picture of, this is why I'm putting you in underwear and a cut-off midriff T-shirt, because it was it was Sigourney Weaver in Alien, I think, in that scene where she's running around in her underwear with a gun. Mm-hmm. So that's what she was going. That's what we were going for.
Oh, that's cool.
In case you're wondering.
No, that's a nice reference.
But yeah, I had gotten in shape for that movie, so I was very excited to be wearing showing up.
There you go.
And then I also trained with my friend Gary, who is former NYPD, trained on just shooting the gun, cleaning the gun, reloading the gun. So I got it, even though the turnaround was really quick for that movie. Once I booked it, I really did get lucky and was able to prepare for it.
It is a fun film, and it is available on iTunes and on video demand.
Yeah, iTunes, you can buy it on Amazon, Vudu, and then there's a bunch of other ones which I don't remember. But if you just Google "Watch Live or Die in La Honda," it'll come up.
Now, you've also got another production coming out later this year, May 18th of this year.
Yeah.
Book Club.
Book club, yeah, with Diane Keaton, Jane Fonda,
You may have heard of
Mary
them. I don't know.
Steenburgen. I don't know if you've heard of them. The list goes on. Yeah. Bill Holderman was the director, and
What's it like to get a chance to work with people of that caliber? I mean, they're legends.
yeah, I worked mostly with Mary Steenburgen and Craig T. Nelson.
Oh,
And
awesome.
awesome. Oh my gosh, we had so much fun. Yeah, I play, my role is Irene. And so you'll see what she does and everything May 18th. Hopefully you'll go and see the movie. And, but yeah, it was amazing to work on that kind of production. And again, another set where we were just having so much fun.
For somebody that is an actress yourself and is growing up maybe watching a lot of their performances, what's it like now to actually get to share the screen or even just be hanging out with them even when the camera's not rolling?
Yeah, it's a dream come true. Mary Steenburgen is so funny and cute and just lovely. And right away, I wasn't even afraid to meet her. And, and same with Craig T. Nelson. And then Jane Fonda was amazing. I'm very excited to be in a movie with her because she was one of my original idols. When I moved to LA, I had a CD of her book that I listened to in the car, driving to my auditions and stuff and meetings. And it was her autobiography. So Jane Fonda was, I feel like, one of my first friends in LA. And then she's made such an amazing, she's always been this huge star, but she's just made this amazing comeback in her career. And Clute was also one of my inspirations, one of my favorite movies.
That is a really good movie.
It's an amazing, beautiful movie, beautifully shot, beautiful mood, and her performance was amazing. And
When she looks at her watch,
yeah,
movie, you're like, all right.
me?
Oh, no, when Jane Fonda does in the course of that film.
Oh,
Yes,
okay. Yeah.
not you.
Okay.
I understand. Yeah, all right. Lily's getting tired of this.
No, I'm really, really, really enjoying it. Actually, one of the things I remember from listening to her book is when she said something about when she booked that movie Clute. She told the director, whose name I stupidly forget, that she asked him, why didn't you get Faye Dunaway for this? There's like 3 other actresses who would have been better for this role. And he basically said, just be quiet and do it. Just step into it and do it. And she did, and she won the Oscar.
Yeah.
She won the Oscar for it. So sometimes it takes a director like Jeff and like Tamas, who did Curtiz. And I've worked with so many amazing directors who say, you are this role. This role was written for you. And you don't have to believe it. You just have to do it. So
that is a very nice way to end this interview.
yeah.
Lily, if people want to keep up with you on all aspects of social media, to find out what's going on for Live or Die La Honda, what's up coming up for Book Club, Curtiz, where's the best place to follow you?
Thank you for asking. All of my handles on Twitter and Instagram are at lilibordan.com or at Lili Bordan. So LiliBordan. Please follow me.
Yes.
I'm going to be posting a lot. I've got a bunch of things in the pipeline. So
Very cool. And she's already distancing herself away from me again.
yes, bye, Frank.
Bye, Lily. Take
gotta
care,
run.
everybody. Folks, I've been your host, Frank Moran. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HappyGoJackie. We'll be back with another episode of iTalk Movies right here on Popcorn Talk. Take care, everybody.
Producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network. We would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed here are those of the hosts only, and not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.